Hi. So my name is Michael. I work for Stat Search Analytics. We're a local SEO, analytics, and data collection company that services digital agencies and enterprises. And today I'm going to talk to you guys a bit about ELK, also known as Elastic Stack. So this is a data collection and logging framework where you send your logs to Logstash, which collects them together, forwards them over to Elasticsearch where they're stored and indexed, and then it's primarily going to be about Kibana, which is a tool that you can use to query and analyze the data there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this by going over kind of an example of how we used to work with our logs and how after implementing ELK, we work with our logs today. And so previously, we would have a distributed service that's running on many different servers, and each of those services would be storing its own logs into text files. And then we would encounter, an application issue of some nature. In our case, we're crawling data from external services, and we're doing it millions of times a day. And so we'll get something indicating that, we're seeing more errors than we expect to see at a given time. So the first thing we would do is we would go and we'd look at another tool to kind of figure out what's going on with the queue. And we would look at the number of failures we had, and we would look at kind of at a really high level, what are those failures? But if we needed to get more information about those failures, we'd have to go in and actually go to each server, grep the logs, and pull that data out. And depending on the scripts you had on your own computer and your knowledge, maybe you'd be able to get the answer directly from there. A lot of times what you'd be doing is you'd be taking the data you collected, and you'd be compiling it in another tool. So Excel's an example, Tableau's another example. There's lots of tools that you can use to analyze data once you've collected together. But unfortunately, because we're dealing with a system that's operating in real time, that's going all through the evening, going through 3 or 4 different tools, as it was in the previous version of this slide, it takes a lot of time, and it slows you down. And if we're running into an issue at 4 p.m. and we want to have a fix up by 6, it's not great. So at a high level, this is what our ELK stack looks like. Now, we're going to send all of our log data directly to Logstash. We actually do it through UDP, but there's lots of ways to do it. It's going to put that data into Elasticsearch and then provide an interface through Kibana that you're able to query it. And it changes our troubleshooting process a lot. So the first thing it does is, because we're now sending JSON packets that have a lot of information in them, it's very easy for us to, at a program level, like add and remove that, and then just go fiddle with the indexing within Kibana directly that changes the Elasticsearch indexing. And that indexing of additional new fields and all the fields that we're logging makes our troubleshooting process really, really fast because it allows us to query much faster. So if we go back to the initial example, it's like, let's say we have the same crawl error rate sort of climbing, and usually in ways that we don't expect. Now what we can do, rather than going into 3 different systems, we can start, look at Kibana and say, okay, well, show me the jobs that are failing. And the things I'm noting here is that we can also run this search with more criteria. So now we can say, show me the things that are failing for certain devices. In this case, it's like a mobile device. And you can easily see the details of the data that you're pulling out. And we can take that same query and we can move right over to visualizing it. So we can put it in a graph. We can show multiple things over time series. And then finally, after you have a visualization, you can take those and you can combine multiple visualizations together to build dashboards. And we have much more complex dashboards of this that show lots of different things about this real-time data collection system that we run. And so the troubleshooting process now looks like this. And so it's okay, I got this email, what do I do? So now you can go and you can log into one system, you can look at the dashboard, see what's going on. If there's something that you still don't understand, you can do additional queries. You can create new visualizations for any new queries, and then you can modify the monitoring process in real time or for a short period of time, or share it among the team, because you can just paste a URL into Slack and people will get that. So what the ELK Stack has done for us is it's made our investigations faster. Because of the nature of the service, it's like relatively inexpensive to use for the volume of queries we do, and it's managed. And that's everything. Thank you guys very much.